All right, it's show time once again on Nigeria Super Fans Forum. My name is Oluwafemi Ashalu. Today is going to be another awesome time on the show. Kaido Gundari and James Agrebi are here, and we'll be looking at issues regarding football on the continent once again. So much to talk about. Of course, over the weekend, it was qualifiers for the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederations Cup. The Nigerian and the Ghanaian clubs were involved, and so to say, it was a fair result for clubs from both countries. We'll be looking at, of course, a major burning issue in Ghana right now. The 10% withholding tax on sports betting has kicked off last week, and it is generating so much debate that the youth are being asked to take to the street to make their their grievance known to the government. Then FIFA, according to reports, has appointed an official to oversee how to ensure that the payment that is due to the girls who participated at the 2023 FIFA World Cup is paid to them by the respective federations. Sad one there. Again, Africa is being used as an example to the rest of the world. Once again, we welcome you. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Femi. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very thank you, Femi.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. So let's start from home here. Of course, over the weekend, like I said, we had Dele Ojo, Eimba away, and of course, we had Remo Stars in action. Kyle, I'll start with you. Of course, Dele Ojo, I didn't even know they were going to get at least a win against Aso Clef, but they got the job done. Thanks once again, of course, to Osarenko, he did the job. But Eimba went away. They lost 4-3 to very, very avoidable goals. Kayode, it seems Eimba, with all the pedigrees they have on the continent, have not learnt at all.
Well, I don't understand what you mean by pedigree. The last time Eimba won the title on the continent was like 20 years ago. Those who were there then are not the ones who are there now. So when you talk about pedigree, you're talking about different circumstances. One, although, like you said, 4-3 results, sometimes you get high-scoring games like that does not actually reflect the input in the game. So I'm always cautious about blaming teams. There could be conditions that are responsible for getting that kind of results. All I know is it is still in their hands. Everything is still in their hands. All they need to do is just come home and get the job done. But then they should not think, oh, because we were able to score 3 goals
against Alali Benghazi, North African teams. You have to be very, very careful.
They have to be very, very careful that, if we're able to score 3 away. I've seen instances where team needed just one goal to qualify, and they found it difficult. Because the moment they come back and are not quick to get off the blocks, the moment their opponents are able to contain them for the first 15-20 minutes, then there's a problem. If, God forbid, I don't know why I have to say that, if God forbid those ones score first, then it's double jeopardy. That means it becomes an uphill task for them. But I think they have enough to get the job done. But don't forget, if those other guys are able to score 4, that means they're also able to score here. That's the danger.
Okay, what about Bendel Insurance? Of course, against Aso Clef. It's their first time on the continent after decades of even disappearing completely in Nigerian football. But at home, they got the job done. Do you have the confidence that they can go away next week, or this week rather, this weekend, and it's going to be difficult, Kade?
Defending a 1-goal lead anyway is very, very difficult for me. Anywhere in any competition, defending taking a 1-goal lead away is very difficult, but it's very, very possible if they do not go with a defensive mindset. But if you go against any team, whether they are North Africans or they are East Africans or wherever they are from, and you have it at the back of your mind from the set word, from the word go that, we're going to defend, then you are setting yourself up for failure. Knowing all these teams from outside sub-Saharan Africa like we do, you know that they are going to throw this kitchen sink at you. They will do everything, including intimidation, openly and subliminally, to make sure that they win. So, and this is where sometimes the experience of the administrators can't, Femi. You
Mm.
need administrators who have walked this road. And I am reminded of people like the late Chief Taiwo Ogunjobi, who have walked this route repeatedly. They know what to do. They know what not to do. They know what. So you need experience in this. If you talk about experience in these things, then I agree with you. But when you talk about pedigree, about teams, about players, I do not agree, because players then and players now are not the same. But when you talk about experienced officials who know what it is to do behind the scenes, Femi, you know what I'm talking about. Then, what do you guys call it? Tactical, right? Tactical. So when you get people who are able to do that, then you could have a shot. It's going to be very, very tricky for insurance.
Actually, I made the reference to Enyimba having a pedigree as far as Nigerian club football is concerned, because if you look at it, I think they've made most appearance of all the teams that we have right here. Okay, James, let's talk about Remo Stars, Medeama, the Ghana Premier League champions versus runners-up in Nigeria, and Medeama, they emerged victorious 1-0. Though Remo Stars could have conceded as many as 2-3, but Medeama, they have a very uphill task right now, because they'll be coming to Nigeria. And during the playoff, you and I, James, remember we saw Remo Stars play with so many talented players in that team. Do you think Medeama will be able to survive this baptism of fire this weekend?
So, Femi, it's Nigeria, Ghana. Forget that it's Remo and Medeama. It's Nigeria.
So to you, this
Ghana.
is Nigeria, Ghana.
It's Nigeria, Ghana. It's the same, the same mentality, the same fight, the same everything. It's a tricky scoreline, 1-0. And you know, when it comes to Nigeria, Ghana, no matter the scoreline, I mean, it's not over until it's over. And look at what happened between Super Eagles and Black Stars after the goalless draw away. A lot of people were happy that, but me, I was not happy, because I know that it was still an open encounter, and it also what happened. So Medeama coming to 1-0 advantage. That mentality that it's Nigeria team that we're going to play, they're going to give it their all. It's going to be a very tricky tie for Remo. Fine, they will be playing at home, but the tie is going to be very, very difficult, because Medeama must not score. Because once they score, I mean, it becomes double job for them, you know. So it's going to, like I said, it's going to be a tough encounter for them. I think it ended 0-0. Say, okay, fine, but you know, 0-0 scoreline too, it's another tricky time, because anything that makes the opponent to score, I mean, because what Remo needs to do now, they just have to score first to cancel the deficit before they not even think of scoring again, you know. So that's why the tie for me is not yet won or lost. It's still a balanced tie, but you know, Medeama have the edge. They are new on the continent, but I mean, they're playing against the Nigerian team, so whatever is going to take them to overcome this order, they're going to do it. So for me, it's still open, you know. So let's just hope that Remo will have learned one or two things from the first leg, so that they're going to take into the return leg. So hopefully they're going to at least make it to the next round.
Okay, so we also have Dreams. They went to Guinea and they got a 1-0 draw. So they will be coming back home to Ghana this weekend to finish up the tie. So apparently the two Ghanaian clubs, they have the chance to make it to the last phase before the group phase of the CAF competitions they are playing in James.
Yes, good one for them. It's not the usual suspect, the Ashanti Kotoko, the Arts of Folk. I mean, this is a good experience for these teams. You know, they might not go all the way, but at least appearing for on the continent and getting the experience, I think we go a long way in helping them in the new season. I mean, what better way to prepare? What better way to have this kind of experience when they come up with good teams? I mean, so that when next they come back. I remember when Enyimba started in the early 2000s, their first outing in the competition, I think they got knocked out in the first round. But when they now came back in the 2003 edition, they became champions. You know, so they have learned in the previous season. So for me, it's going to be a good experience for these Ghanaian teams. The first leg results are good ones for them. So now left for what they will do in the return leg. For the other team, Dreams, I mean, playing 1-1 away is a good one, but like I said, it's still an open tie. You know, anything can still happen. For you to score away, nothing stop the other team from scoring also when they visit Ghana. So they should be very careful. once they concede, I mean, panic button will just set in, you know. So hopefully they will. I don't know, for Remo, I want a Nigerian team to qualify, you know. So let's just hope for the best and let the best team progress.
Okay, of course. Dreams won the FA Cup, the MTN FA Cup in Ghana last season, and of course, Remo Stars, they'll be looking at the likes of Olalekan Adams, Dele Ojo, Junior Lokosa, to ensure that at least they eliminate Medeama from the qualifying stage of the CAF Champions League. So, of course, we have Enyimba and Remo Stars, of course, playing qualifiers for the CAF Champions League. Then Insurance, it was CAF Confederations Cup. Remember, they won the Federation Cup right here in Nigeria. Rivers United, who is the other representative, of course, they got a bye. So they will be playing in the last round before the group stage of the CAF Confederations Cup. Kyle, let me take you on this. Of course, it has emerged that the just concluded the FIFA Women's World Cup. Remember, Nigeria, South Africa, Zambia, and Morocco represented Africa. But now it doesn't emerge that Zambia paid their players $150 camp allowance every day, while Nigeria paid Super Falcons $100. And the report also indicated that the Zambia FA, they paid officials, the technical team, $250 every day. But we do not even know how much the NFF paid, the technical team of the Super Falcons. But Kyle, they look at the disparity. Nigeria, Zambia, with all due respect to Zambia, but Zambia paying their players daily camp allowance $150, and we paid our players $100. Kyle, what's your take on this?
It speaks to the disparity, not disparity now, to the mindset in Africa. Femi, I've said this several times that the reason why we have football, the most important unit in football is the players. You could choose not to have a coach, Femi. You could choose not to have football administrators, but you cannot choose not to have players. So when I hear things like players are paid $150, officials are paid $250, I ask, what exactly?
Technical staff getting $250. Queens.
Femi, we may not have the figures, but I know that in Nigeria the situation is not different. In fact, the gap is even wider than that. I've had unconfirmed sources tell me that some of the FA officials got as much as $600, $700, $800 a day at the World Cup. Yes, and they keep complaining they do not have money to pay the players, even the $100 that you're talking about. So for me, I don't know what exactly is wrong with our thinking this part of the world. How can those who keep you in a job, tell me, it is the players who keep officials in their job, not the other way around. You can it is the players who keep the officials in their job, because as long as the players are doing well, the officials are sure of having a job. Why would you treat those same players as if they do not matter? So I don't understand where this is coming from. You talk about the disparity between what Nigeria and Zambia paid their players, but then on the underlying factors are still the same. Why would you pay players like that? Like as if you are doing them a favor. And I've said this several times. I think it comes from a place of thinking that when you invite players to the national team, Africa, we think we are doing them a favor. No, you are not. You are putting them in the team because you think they have something to offer. And if you think they have something to offer, then you should pay them well. You should give them all whatever they need. It's just like when we were growing up, Femi, and I know this goes for almost every African home. Your parents will feel that until you have well fed before they start eating. I am not sure of any parent who will eat for their children. No. Your mother would rather you eat and you are well fed before she eats whatever is left. That's the thinking. You cannot just imagine the parents who would like take the bigger portion of the food and ask the children to go scramble for crumbs. That is not African. But we have these characters running our football all over the continent, doing all sorts of things. Why do you think Zambia, Nigeria went to the World Cup, Morocco also went to the World Cup. Why are we not hearing some of these things about other teams? Why is it only? I don't want to be racist, maybe about.
You took that on my mind because of course we'll be talking about what FIFA has done to ensure that players from Africa who participated at the World Cup get their money, because FIFA has assigned an official to ensure that the respective federations pay the money that is due to these girls will be getting that.
That is an insult for every African. We should,
okay, we'll be getting there.
I saw a lot. I was in a conversation with a friend and I told him we shouldn't celebrate things like this. We should actually bow down our heads in shame. Why would FIFA have to appoint somebody to oversee?
Of course, that's the point. You can't blame FIFA. It's because of how low we have descended.
That's what I'm telling you now, that it is a shame for Africa that we needed somebody a supervisor to come and superintend over how we spend monies. Femi doesn't speak about responsibility, about financial prudence, that we need somebody to come and tell us you must pay these players.
Okay, we'll get there. But sadly, that is what we are. Okay, let's go to Ghana now and talk about, like I said, the 10% withholding tax on sports betting that took effect in Ghana last week. It's generating a lot of controversy online. Even people like journalists like Sadiq Adams have told the youth to get to the streets, rather than venting their angers on radio and television stations. And of course, one of the major oppositions in Ghana, opposition party, the National Democratic Congress, which the former president is a member. I'm talking about President John Mahama. They've expressed their disapproval over what the president has done. President Nana Akufo-Addo, of course, is a member of the National Patriotic Party. But James, I'll start with James. Then I'll come to you. A lot of people have looked at they have divergent views about this. But let's look at it. Of recent, sports betting has risen tremendously in Africa. James, would you say it's a function of the poverty on the continent, or would you say it is because of the growing love for sport? Where will you peg it, James?
No, it's not about. It's not only in Africa that this betting thing is being. It's not only Africa that does this sport betting. We've heard in other climes where
when you look at the poverty index in Africa, you will understand why a lot of youth, even under age betting, they are very rampant these days. And you look at, because it is one of the points that the National Democratic Congress, the opposition party in Ghana, putting forward. They said the timing is wrong, because when you look at the inflation, about 43% in Ghana, then what do you expect the youth to do? They do not have jobs, and they have to survive some way, since the government of the day cannot provide jobs.
I don't really buy that. It's about choice. For me, it's about choice. It's not in Ghana that they do this betting thing. They also do it in Nigeria. And I don't know if you follow I think they have a slogan that bet responsibly, or there's a way they normally put it. Of course. Bet responsibly.
They do not encourage underage betting.
Yes. So everything has been put there, So it's just like rewarding, just like they say, reward for your passion or something, So it's about it's as if they put the gun on to the heads of people to say go and bet. I mean, it's choice, So for me, I don't know why this thing is now generating so much issues, even outside Africa. Even we've had instances where we hear betting syndicates and all those things that they're even bigger and more, when I say more negative in this impact in terms of football outside Africa that we've heard of, So for me, the government, they have their reasons why they decide to put this. I think we've discussed this thing in the past before, and for me, I don't really know why they decide to now come. In instances like this, I mean, the government, they have a big say in it. No matter how you want to put it, they have a big say. So you can't just wave them aside. They know how much this betting country, how much they rake in. So maybe they're now trying to get their own pie, their own share of the cake.
Now you're talking.
So which way to that go about it? And this idea of urging people to now go onto the streets and protest. I mean, the person who is instigating this is not going to go there with them. By the time things get out of hand, he's not the one that's going to face whatever the government put out to curb whatever protest and unrest that come out of it. So I mean, the government have taken their stand, and you know, the government.
But there's always a place
they
of
have the
peaceful
power.
protest. There's always a
Yes.
place of peaceful protest.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the way we do, sometimes the way protests go about here, you now lead to looting, stealing, maiming, and all kinds. You know, so I hope all these things now will not generate into that.
Okay.
All in the name of betting. So I think whatever happens, I mean, they just have to be careful. Just because of betting now, you start causing issues in the country.
Okay, Kayode, please, I want you to speak to your wealth of experience on this. James threw up a different view entirely. They're talking about maybe government has seen how much money circulates in sport betting in Ghana, and have decided to take maybe a bite of the pie. Or would you say that is the rate of poverty in the country? Ghana is currently experiencing inflation as high as 43-point-something%. And part of the argument of the National Democratic Congress is also the fact that the government has not been able to create jobs. A lot of youth are jobless, and people are looking for a way to survive. And now taking 10% of the withholding tax from whatever money they get from betting is insensitive. Kayode, I want you to talk through all of this.
I agree with James. There's always, every country I've been to, every country I know, there's always a sports development fund, which majorly gets revenue from betting, sports, and all of this, lottery actually. And what the tax is, just like the normal tax principle. You are taxed from what you win, Femi. I think in the case of Ghana, I am not sorry to say this has a political angle to it. It is it has a political angle to it, because in itself, taxing winnings from betting is not a new thing. In fact, it's not like one of the wonders of the world. Oh, this is creative thinking. No, it is money that's always been there, just because the government has not woken up to it. What I would be much more concerned about is tracking the monies that are made from that revenue and how it is plowed back into sports. Not that, because the money is going to be huge, Femi. Do you know the numbers from Nigeria about how many people bet every day in Nigeria? So imagine government getting a percentage of that and plowing it back into our sports. What that means is that we may not have to depend on government again for funding. We should be I would be much more concerned about how those monies are used judiciously, not whether they are taken or not. That should be a given. I'm not sure the opposition party would do something different. Let's not deceive ourselves. It's easy to be on the other side and complain. If I were the opposition parties, what I would be much more concerned about is tracking how these monies are used, not whether they should be taken or not. Femi, I know a country where if you buy, no, not one country, many countries, but I'm talking about this particular country because it is in Africa. If you buy a bottle of water, Femi, you are taxed a certain percentage. Out of that tax, a certain percentage of that tax goes to the Sports Development Fund. It is an African country, and it is not even a North African country, Femi. It is not North African country. So for me, I do not have I mean, this may come out as controversial, but I do not have a problem with taking a chunk of what you win, Femi. These monies are going to be taken from your winnings and plowing it into sports. I would want these oppositions to track that those monies are used, not that not that the government will not use it as a slush fund for campaigns and everything, or they will share it as a party like this for their members. No, if it's going to be for sports, let us ensure that it is for sports.
Okay, so we would love to hear from our Ghanaian fans. What do you think about the?
And I hope Nigeria also starts it. I hope Nigeria also borrow a lead from Ghana and start it too. Femi, there's nothing wrong. See, there's nothing wrong in betting, in lottery. if you know the huge amount of money that people win from lotteries, Femi, there's nothing wrong. But what I find very, very irritating is people saying, why should they? If you know lottery, I know some people who say because of religious reasons, they are not going to bet, or whatever reasons, maybe moral, maybe whatever, they're not going to bet. But if you bet and you are hoping to win something, there's nothing wrong in government taking a portion of that for the purpose it is meant for. Where I have a problem is if those monies are not accounted for and used judiciously. That's where I will have a problem.
Okay, so like I was saying, we would love to hear from our Ghanaian fans. What do you think? You're on ground right there in Ghana. Let us know what you think about this. If you think the government is right to take 10% of the withholding tax from this sports betting, and of course, if you feel that the government is wrong, please let us know what you think in the comment section. Please, we would love to hear from you so that we'll know what is actually happening on the ground there. Okay, it is 17 days now before the Black Stars of Ghana will be taking on Central African Republic in that very crucial a draw at least is what Ghana needs in that game in the 2024 AFCON qualifier, the last for the group. But the injury crisis seems to be mounting somewhat for Chris Sutton now because, of course, we already talked about Ashimeri is out. We also have Wallacott is out already. And of course, we also have Kamadu Sulemana, who is nursing an injury now. Hopefully before then, we will not have more, maybe serious issue, because these three players, whether they're going to start or not in that game, they are players that Chris Sutton must have penned down somewhat that, okay, these guys are going to be on the list because Wallacott provides a healthy competition for Lawrence Atizigi. And of course, the concern about Atizigi right now is even the fact that in the last 4 games, he hasn't kept a clean sheet. Yeah, he hasn't kept a clean sheet. So media in Ghana, they are really scrutinizing his performance now that Wallacott is out. Kyle, is there anything to be afraid of concerning injury? I know you will say that maybe Chris Sutton will have other options available to him, but right now, Ashimeri is out, Kamadu Sulemana is out, Wallacott is out. Well, Lawrence Atizigi, let's hope that it will be there. But I think one thing that the Black Stars can be happy about is over the weekend, of course, we saw Antoine Semenyo scoring against Liverpool. But is there anything to worry about? Just 17 days to that game.
Honestly, what I would be worried about is the long-term impact of these absences, not about the forthcoming game alone. Each time a player is injured, I am not happy for 2 reasons, Femi. One, the player's source of livelihood is football, is sports. So when they are not able to play, they may not be able to make as much as they would. Number one, even though they have a valid contract, but when you don't get to play, some of them have all of these clauses in their contracts. Secondly, the impact on them when they return to the national team. Because, see, a player who goes out injured can come back with only 2 likely scenarios. They could come back and pick up where they left. And some will come back and never be the player they used to be again. So that's where I have problem. I have reservations with injuries. But in this, if you're talking about this particular game, Femi, I don't know where this confidence is coming from. But I just believe Ghana would get out of this. No problem. They are going to get to the AFCON. I actually want Ghana at the AFCON. I want the biggest teams in Africa to get to the AFCON, Femi. And Ghana is certainly one of the biggest teams in Africa. So I want them at the AFCON. I want Nigeria, all of these other, South Africa, Ivory Coast, Cameroon, Morocco, all of the big teams. I don't want anybody to say, it's because we did not qualify. That's why X country won. And Ghana, if I have a choice, I would choose Ghana over Madagascar any day. For obvious reasons. So I want Ghana to be there. I want them to take another shot at the AFCON. Maybe this could be their year since 1982. Anything is possible. So that's what I think. By injuries, pray all the players come. But if they don't, it gives room for other players too, Femi. Atizigi, we saw him at the World Cup. Most people would never have known that it was like that. It was that good. So if other players also have the chance, let them come on. The merrier, the more the merrier.
Just before I come to you quickly, an update, of course, it's no longer news that Dr. Prosper Nate Ogum has returned to Ashanti Kotoko, so he will be taking charge of the team for the new season. And of course, finally, they've got their Dutch technical coach. I'm talking about Martin Koopman. So we will be looking at that much later, perhaps during the week, because what has particularly generated interest is the win rate of this Koopman. The win rate to the losses he has recorded is generating some debate. James, let me come to you about what Claudia and I discussed earlier about FIFA appointing one of the officials to ensure that what is due the girls who played at the World Cup for Africa got their money. James, Kayode said it is a slap in the face of Africa. It is a show of shame. But okay, maybe I should. Gelson Fernandez, FIFA's director for Africa, according to Fatma Samora, a journalist quoting Fatma Samora, I said Fatma Samora told me has been assigned this task throughout Africa where they are concerned is going to need Hawkeyes during this assignment. James, we've driven ourselves to a point of international disgrace. In South Africa, the Bayana, they had some issues before the World Cup regarding money, regarding even kit, things that do not happen even with the senior male team. Super Falcons, Zambia, we didn't hear anything. Morocco, we didn't anything, but South Africa and Nigeria were in the eye of the storm before the tournament. James, do you think that FIFA is doing the right thing, or they should have just allowed these federations to just do what they feel is right to do?
Femi, to say it's a disgrace, a shame is just understatement. I mean, this issue of money not being paid to play, it didn't just start today. You know, way back 2004, I always make reference to that, when the Super Falcons won the WAFCON and they refused to return to Nigeria. You know, under former President Olusegun Obasanjo, who had to, get involved before the players. As if the players seized the trophy. You know, even when they came back from Cameroon in 2016, we also heard this. So let me just say, it's because of Nigeria. It is because of Nigeria, because this thing has been going on for a very long time. I was even shocked when I heard about the Bayana, that they too had this issue. It's as if the virus from Nigeria has kind of affected them too. So let's say it's about Nigeria. Remember when the Super Falcons, I think when they played against the Republic of Ireland, Fatma Samora was in the team's dressing room and she was addressing them and talked about this issue about money. You know,
she was categorical, yeah.
Yes, so that's why I said it's about Nigeria. All these things is about, because Nigeria, we've been winning the AFCON. I've been hearing about issues of the players not being paid, the FA holding back their money. So if FIFA decide to take this decision, who's to blame? It's number one, Nigeria. Nigeria caused this whole thing before it now spread to. You hardly hear things about things like this about the North Africans, and because to me it sounds so foolish that people that who make things happen, the main actors. When it gets to paying them their dues, it becomes a problem. So for me, if FIFA decide to take these steps, you can't blame them. They're just trying to look for a way to solve this issue. Since the adults there, people who are supposed to be adults, supposed to know these things, they cannot take care of themselves, behaving like kids. You need a right thinking adult to come in and solve the issues for you.
Okay, Kayode, I think this is very instructive at this time now. The NFF has even come out to say that they are negotiating with Pesero over a new contract. At FIFA will be saying, don't use this money to negotiate Pesero's contract, and they have ensured that this Fernandez will oversee the fact that the $1.380 million due to the Super Falcons, which is $60,000 each, is paid to them. Kayode, now that we even have a sports minister, a lot of people have even said that he has a background in farming. Kayode, are we going to see a change in all of this, or even if we appoint a retired general, things like this going to continue in the NFF as it closes now?
Femi, let me quickly say, since you brought it up, I do not have a problem with the background of the minister.
Of the new sports minister.
Yeah, the minister should oversee, but there are technocrats in the ministry who are supposed to draw up policies. If he's good in policy implementation, it will be the best minister. We've seen instances where you have people who have sports background who were in charge, nothing came out of it. So all those talk, I do not give it a thought, Femi, about where anybody is coming from. If he's if he has a background in farming and is able to implement farming policies, then it shows that it's just about policy implementation for me. That's a fact. So I do not have any problem with that. What I have a problem with is not knowing why you are in office. You are in office to make sure that the policies that the technocrats in your ministry have put together are implemented with the support of the commander-in-chief of the Federal Republic. So for me, that's not a non-issue, and that's why I've kept out of that debate on social media. I'm not interested in all of that. The fact that you had a lawyer as the Attorney General in the last administration, what was the impact? The fact that a doctor was the Minister of Finance,
Minister of Health
in last administration, what came out of it? So for me, some of these things do not really matter. It's about having a policy implementation mindset, how you are able to implement policies. So that's what I think. And I'm still going to say it is a crying shame that we need somebody to help us administer funds in Africa. Femi, that is a shame, a big shame on us.
Okay, hopefully the sports minister will be able to maybe introduce policies that will help us cut the grasses at the Abuja National Stadium. We actually need that. Guys, thank you for coming on the show today. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you very much, Femi. It's always a pleasure. See you next time.
Okay, so our fans around the world, we appreciate you so much. All right, James. So our fans around the world, we appreciate you so much. Please, to our fans in Ghana, let us know what you think about the 10% withholding tax introduced by the government in your country. What do you think? Please let us know. If you think you should educate us more about how things are actually going right, their reactions, please put it in the comment section. We'll see you all later in the week. Bye for now.